Welcome back to Secret Weapons for Game Design. In this section, we are covering how to structure, plan, and prepare for your playtesting. Believe it or not, most of the work of playtesting is actually done here. Okay, the first thing to do is to find the right time in your development schedule to conduct the playtests. You can plan for your playtests to take place at a point in your development and design when you have the following things. When you have a prototype ready, we'll get to more details on this in just a minute. Also, when you can have your entire team there to help and observe the playtests. And when you'll have enough time afterwards to respond to what you find in the playtests and then make those changes to your design. Once you have the right time scheduled to conduct your playtesting, next it's time to plan and define your goals. Testing goals will give you some very specific things to test for or look for as you use your prototype and conduct your playtest. Testing goals keep you focused as you observe players trying out your game, and they also keep your team on the same page with regards to what you observe and learn from the tests. Some good testing goals examples here that you can get started with include learning whether your players can get started playing the game on their own. And if not, identify what directions are necessary to get them started. And learn what players intuitively try to do in the game. And for social or multiplayer games, a goal could be to see if they are able to play together. And discover if players have fun or enjoy themselves while playing the game. You're also going to want to define any goals that are specific to your unique game and interactions. Here are some more detailed testing goals around interaction. Again, these are just some examples here. See if they can find the menu or any information displays on their own. Understand which buttons they use in the game and how. Or learn whether players are able to find the targets in the game easily. Again, these are just a few examples to get you started, and you can create your own goals that fit your particular game, the parts of the game design that you are testing, and what you need to learn. Let's get back to the prototype. This is the interactive representation of your game that you will have testers play and provide feedback on in your playtests. Now, a prototype is not a finished or fully functional version of your game. Instead, a prototype is a kind of a minimally viable version of your game experience made just for testing and iterating. That is, a prototype is a representation that is really minimal or just enough so that testers can interact with it to achieve your testing goals. A prototype should represent only a part or some parts of your game at a time. This is so you can focus your playtesting on smaller, more flexible chunks of your game and not worry about having everything finished or decided on before you test it with real players. Here is an example of a prototype that I've used in playtesting. Again, we'll use our ongoing example of a VR carnival game. Here, we've created a minimally viable prototype using Unity. Notice you don't see the entire carnival here with music and everything finished yet. Instead, we've got only one small minigame for the carnival to include in this round of playtesting. This prototype includes asking the playtesters to complete one basic goal, which is finish a round of whack-a-mole. And we've only got one core mechanic we're focused on here in this prototype, which is using the mallet to hit the mole on the head. When we ask players to try out our prototype in our playtests, we can stay focused on the following playtesting goals. We can learn whether players get started playing on their own or if they need some help or minimal directions. We can find out what players intuitively try to do in the game. We can see if players can use the mallet on their own and find the targets easily. And we can observe their gameplay and ask them to discover if they have fun or enjoy themselves while playing the game. Okay, you've got your testing goals and you've got your prototype figured out. Next, who should be the playtesters? Think about whom you want the game to appeal to. Focus on finding and recruiting players based on their behaviors and interests, and include a representation across demographics like age, ethnicity, and gender. If not, you'll risk excluding potential players based on misperceptions and stereotypes. And you don't want to do that because you want your game to appeal to the broadest audience possible. Think about, do you want your game to appeal to both new and advanced players? Then be sure to include both of these types of players in your playtesting. Okay, we're still planning for playtesting here, so stick with me. Next, you'll need to make sure that you plan to record your playtesting sessions. You'll work hard to set up and schedule a successful playtest for your game, so you don't want to miss out on any of the feedback or learnings while you're busy conducting the playtests. Remember to plan to ask the playtesters for their permission to record a video or audio recording of the playtest, and ask them ahead of time. It's polite, and in some places, a legal requirement too. You'll also want to capture playtesters' overall experience as their time with the game concludes. I recommend creating a one-page old-school paper and pencil survey, or if you are testing remotely or online, you can use an online form like Google Forms. Ask the playtesters to fill out the questionnaire on the way out the door or as the playtesting includes. Include just a few questions to gather their thoughts and feelings about the game. Try to keep it to no more than 5 to 7 questions. Make sure your 5 or so questions measure specific aspects of the game experience. You can include some open-ended questions like, what was the best part of the game for you? And what was the hardest or most challenging part of the game? And you can add some rating scales. One example I like to use is to ask players to rate how fun the game was overall. You can use a scale of 1 to 7, 1 being the least fun and 7 being the most. Have them rate for you the fun of the game, and then ask them why they gave the rating they did. Another major benefit of collecting questionnaire feedback is that you can reuse the same questions every time you conduct a playtest and see if your playtesters' answers are improving over multiple rounds of testing. So, the last step in planning before you conduct your playtest, you're going to need to do a run-through, or what we call a pilot, of your playtest prior to the one you're going to conduct with actual players. This is to make sure that your prototype is ready, that you have the steps, and that you're all set up to have an effective and successful playtest. To do this, take your prototype and walk through the game yourself. Or better yet, with a friend or family member at least a day prior to your playtest. Make sure the tasks or activities that you wish to have players try out are doable with the prototype you have, and that the materials all work together. When pre-testing your playtest, you'll likely discover places in your prototype where there are limitations, or which don't quite work out the way that you wanted it to. Sometimes you'll find that parts of your game or your goals, or even part of your questionnaire, doesn't quite fit, or that they aren't clear enough for some of your playtesters to follow. These are bugs in your playtesting tools. So you'll need to debug or correct these discrepancies and make sure that your prototype matches your game goals and that your questions in your questionnaire are clear, so the process can be obvious to your playtesters so that you'll gather what you need to learn and you'll be able to observe natural play as much as possible. So now, you should have a structure, steps for preparation, and know exactly what materials that you'll need for your playtesting. In the next section, we'll get into the details for how to conduct your playtests. complete with some tips and techniques to get the most out of your playtesting.